Sir, please, don't leave me here. Her icy hand grasped his ankle. I can't feel my legs anymore.
Madam, wait.
Madam,
Just a moment.
wait, just a moment. The street was deserted, snow and wind. He reached for his zipper, then stopped. Chloe, his daughter, was at home. 6 hours until her 10th birthday. $38, her entire birthday money. Helping this woman meant no cake, no candles, no birthday.
Sir, please.
Yes, madam. I'm here.
He took off his hoodie, wrapped it around her. 30 people ignored this woman tonight. He was the only one who stopped. He didn't know who she was, didn't know what it would cost, or what it would bring. But the next morning, a driver in a black suit knocked on his door. And things would never be the same. But before that night, before the storm, before the bench, let me tell you who this man was. His name was Brandon Nash. 40 years old, single father, night shift security guard at Ridgewood Plaza, a half-dead strip mall where 3 of 8 storefronts were boarded up. During the day, he did handyman work, plumbing, drywall, electrical, whatever kept the lights on. Some weeks it was enough. Most weeks it wasn't. Every morning started the same, 5:45 a.m. Alarm. Brandon rolled off the living room floor, not a bed. The bedroom belonged to Chloe. He told her the floor was better for his back. She believed him. She was 9. He walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, almost empty. Half a carton of milk, leftover rice, a jar of peanut butter with a spoon mark scraping the bottom. He made Chloe's lunch, peanut butter sandwich, an apple, a juice box. Wrote on a napkin, "You're my favorite human." Tucked it inside. He ate nothing. He'd gotten used to that. 2 things on the fridge door. A faded magnet from a trade school open house, tuition circled in marker, $6,200. The ink was almost gone now. A dream that got quieter every year. Next to it, a countdown calendar drawn in purple marker. Chloe had been crossing off squares for 3 weeks. 1 square left. Tomorrow, her 10th birthday. Brandon stared at that last square, touched it with his finger. $38. That's what he had. He'd done the math 100 times. Cake, 14. Candles, 3. That stuffed bear she kept eyeing at the dollar store, 12. Balloons and streamers, 9. Not a party, but something. His mother used to say, "If your hands are free, somebody needs them." She also taught him something he never said out loud. Every birthday, no matter what, Chloe wakes up to a surprise. Last year, a hand-painted card and a cupcake with 1 candle. The year before, a tiny bookshelf he built from scrap wood. She never asked for much. That made it harder, not easier. 8 a.m., across town. A landlord's kitchen. Leaky pipe under the sink. "I'll give you 50. "Sir, we agreed on 80. The landlord peeled off 2 20s and dropped them on the counter. "That's close enough." Brandon looked at the money. $40 for 3 hours of work on his knees in a stranger's kitchen. He wanted to argue. He wanted to walk away. But he couldn't afford either. He picked up the bills, walked out. Rent was $1,100. Payday from the security job, 6 days away. And the 38 in his account was untouchable, sacred. That was Chloe's birthday. He stopped at a gas station, put $10 in the truck, brought his account down to 28. Inside, he walked past the bakery case near the register. Small cakes in plastic boxes, white frosting, pink flowers, a blank space where they'd write a name. $14. He picked one up, held it, turned it around slowly, pictured Chloe's face when she saw it. Put it back. Tonight, after shift. The cake has to be fresh for morning. Outside, a woman was struggling with grocery bags in the wind. One bag ripped. Oranges rolled across the icy parking lot. Brandon jogged over, picked them up, carried everything to her car. She got in, closed the door, and drove off. Didn't look at him. Didn't say a word. He stood there for a second, then walked back to his truck. That's how it always was. 3:15 p.m., Brandon pulled up to the church. Chloe ran out holding a piece of paper. "Dad, look!" A drawing. A big building with stick figures inside. Welding, hammering, wiring. Above the door, in her careful handwriting, Nash Learning Center. Brandon knelt down in the parking lot, studied it like a real blueprint. You even put in windows. Of course, people need light when they're learning. He folded it carefully, slipped it into his jacket pocket, right next to his heart. In the truck, Chloe couldn't sit still. That quiet, contained energy kids have when they're trying so hard not to seem too excited. "Dad, did you know when you turn 10 you're officially in double digits?" "Is that right? That's kind of a big deal." "That is a big deal." She looked out the window. Then, carefully, like she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. "I don't need anything big, just maybe a cake? With candles?" Brandon's grip tightened on the steering wheel until his knuckles ached. "I think I can manage that, baby girl." She smiled. That was enough for her. That smile nearly broke him. Before they left, Pastor Ruth pulled him aside. "Brandon, the church furnace is dying. If it goes, I have to shut down the after-school program until spring." "I'll come look at it this weekend. No charge." "Brandon, you can't keep doing this for free." "No charge, Pastor Ruth." She shook her head, smiled. "Your mother would be proud of who you turned out to be." He drove home with Chloe singing in the passenger seat, off-key, loud, perfect. The plan was simple. Finish the night shift, stop at the gas station, buy the cake, the bear, the candles. Set everything up while she sleeps. Be there when she opens her eyes. Not much, but it was the promise. Brandon Nash didn't break promises to his daughter. But what he didn't know, what nobody could have warned him about, was that in 8 hours, the worst blizzard in 11 years would force him to choose between that promise and a stranger's life. And there would be no right answer. What he was about to walk into, out there in that storm, would split his life into before and after. 10 p.m. Brandon pulled into the Ridgewood Plaza parking lot. Snow was already falling, light, steady, getting heavier by the minute. He grabbed his security jacket from the back seat and headed for the booth. Darnell Cooper, his best friend, the barber who ran the only shop still open in the plaza, was sweeping up near the entrance. "Yo, birthday dad! You get the party supplies yet?" Brandon patted his pocket. "After shift. Gas station on 5th has cakes until 2 a.m. I got it all planned out." Darnell grinned. "Double digits. My girl's growing up." He reached into his apron and pulled out a small envelope. Here, $20. Get us something from Uncle D. Man, I can't take your... It's not for you. It's for her. Take it. Brandon looked at the envelope. Took it. $58 now. Maybe he could get a better cake. Thanks, Dee. Seriously. Don't thank me. Just don't let her eat the whole thing before I come over. Darnell zipped up his coat and headed for the door. Then stopped. Hey, storm's supposed to hit hard around midnight. Wind chill below 0. Don't be out there playing hero tonight. Brandon shrugged. Just gotta make my rounds. I mean it, B. Stay inside. Darnell left. The plaza went quiet. Brandon sat in the security booth, listening to the radio crackle. Severe winter storm warning in effect. Wind chill advisory. Dangerous, life-threatening cold expected through early morning hours. He looked out at the empty lot. Snow falling faster now. He checked the time. 4 hours until the gas station run. He pictured Chloe waking up. The cake on the table. Candles lit. Her face. 4 hours. That's all. Just get through 4 hours. By 11:30, the blizzard was violent. Brandon couldn't see 20 feet in front of him. Wind howled through the gaps in the plaza walls. Snow piled against the storefronts in drifts. The temperature had dropped so fast, his flashlight felt like a block of ice in his hand. He did his first perimeter walk. Head down, collar up. Security jacket wasn't rated for this kind of cold. He had his hoodie underneath, the only warm layer between him and hypothermia. He passed the bus stop at the edge of the parking lot. Concrete bench. Empty. Snow piling on the seat. He kept walking. One more round, then back to the booth. 12:15 a.m. Second perimeter walk. He passed the bus stop again. This time, something was different. A shape on the bench, dark against the white. He almost didn't see it, almost kept walking, almost wrote it off as a pile of old blankets someone dumped. Then it moved. Not much, a tremor, a slight shift under the snow. Brandon stopped, aimed his flashlight. Not blankets. A person. He moved closer. His boots sank into knee-deep snow with every step. An old woman. White hair plastered flat against her forehead. Thin wool coat soaked completely through. No gloves, no hat, no scarf. Her skin was the color of ash. Her lips had gone past blue into something darker. Ma'am? Nothing. Ma'am, can you hear me? Her eyelids fluttered. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. Then, barely, like a breath with shape. Help! Brandon pulled out his phone, dialed 911. Nothing. No signal. He held it up, moved it around. Dead air. The storm had knocked out the nearest tower. He looked around the plaza. Dark. Every shop closed. Darnell. Gone. Not a single car on the road. He knelt beside her, touched her hands. They were locked into fists, white-knuckled, frozen around something. A piece of cloth. Cream-colored. Embroidered edges. A gold letter stitched into the corner. He couldn't make it out in the dark. Ma'am, how long have you been out here? Her jaw trembled. I don't know. My car broke down. I walked. I couldn't. Her voice faded. Her head dropped forward. Brandon grabbed her shoulders. No, no, no. Stay with me. Keep your eyes open. He looked at the road. 14 miles to Mercy General. His truck was across the parking lot, gas tank nearly empty. The blizzard was getting worse by the minute. Then he thought about Chloe. Gas station closes at 2 a.m. It's 12:15. If you drive this woman to the hospital, 14 miles in a blizzard on an empty tank, you burn the gas, you miss the window, you spend the money. There's no birthday, no cake, no bear, no candles. You break your promise. He looked at the woman. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were closing. But if you don't, she dies. Right here, on this bench, tonight. Ma'am, I'm going to pick you up now, okay? No answer, just a faint nod. I need you to hold on to me. He reached for his hoodie zipper, the last warm thing he had. And he made a choice. He made a decision in that moment, the kind that costs you something you can't get back. Brandon unzipped his hoodie, pulled it off. The wind hit his bare arms like a wall of needles. He wrapped the hoodie around the woman's torso and zipped it tight. All right, I got you. Hold on. He slid one arm under her knees, the other behind her back, and lifted. She weighed almost nothing, like carrying a bundle of wet cloth. Her head fell against his shoulder. She was shaking so hard her teeth rattled. The parking lot was a white ocean, snow knee-deep, wind pushing against him like a hand on his chest. He couldn't see the truck, just the faint outline of the security booth light somewhere ahead. He took one step, then another. His boots sank deep with every stride. Snow filled his shoes. His arms burned. His fingers were going numb. Halfway across, his foot hit a patch of ice under the snow. He went down, one knee, hard. The woman slipped. He caught her, pulled her back in, kept going. Almost there. We're almost there, ma'am. She didn't respond. Her shaking was slowing down. That was bad. That meant her body was giving up. He reached the truck, yanked the passenger door open, set her inside. The window on that side was sealed with duct tape. No wind, at least. He pulled Chloe's soccer blanket from the back seat and wrapped it around her legs. He ran to the driver's side, turned the key. Nothing. Come on. Again. The engine coughed. Died. Come on. Not tonight. Please. Third try. A sputter. Fourth try. The engine caught. The truck shuddered to life. The heater groaned. Warm air, barely warm, crawled out of the vents. All on the driver's side. Brandon angled every single vent toward her. Her shivering came back, violent, whole-body convulsions. That was actually good. Her body was fighting again. Then she spoke. Not a plea, not a whisper. An instruction. My left coat pocket, pill bottle, one tablet, under my tongue. Now. Brandon blinked. Her voice had changed. Even through the chattering teeth, even half frozen, the tone was different. Clear, direct, like she'd given orders her entire life, like people listened when she talked. He didn't question it. He reached into her left pocket, found a small prescription bottle, nitroglycerin, heart medication. One tablet? One, under the tongue. Don't crush it. He opened the bottle. His hands were shaking so badly, he almost dropped it. He placed the tablet under her tongue with 2 fingers. She closed her eyes. breathed. "Thank you," she said quietly. Then, "Drive." Brandon looked at the gas gauge. The needle was below the orange line, blinking. He needed gas to make it to Mercy General, 14 miles through a blizzard on unplowed roads. He looked at the woman, looked at the gauge. "You know what this means." He pulled out of the parking lot and drove 2 blocks to the gas station, the only one still open. He sat in the truck for 3 seconds, staring at the pump. Then he pulled out his debit card and got out. The wind nearly knocked him sideways. He jammed the nozzle in and watched the numbers climb. $10, 15, 22. He stopped at 22. He got back in the truck, opened his banking app, cashed from earlier. Balance $16.42. 28 minus 10 for gas this morning, minus 22 just now. $16.42, plus Darnell's 20 in cash. Chloe's birthday. The cake, the bear, the candles, the balloons. It cost $38. He now had $36.42. Not enough. And he still had to get to the hospital and back. He stared at the screen, the little number glowing in the dark truck. Her birthday money. That's what you just spent. Her cake, her bear, her candles. He put the truck in drive. He didn't say a word. The highway was a nightmare. Snow so thick the headlights only cut 5 feet ahead. No plowed lanes, no tire tracks, just white in every direction. Brandon drove at 15 miles an hour, both hands locked on the wheel, leaning forward like those extra 2 inches would help him see. The truck fishtailed on a curve. The back end swung wide. Brandon's stomach dropped. He corrected, barely. The woman grabbed the dashboard, hard. Her grip was firm, stronger than a 74-year-old woman, half dead from hypothermia, should have been able to manage. She didn't scream, didn't gasp, just one word. Steady. Brandon glanced at her. Even now, soaking wet, wrapped in a stranger's hoodie, shaking under a child's soccer blanket, there was something in her face, something calm, something used to being in control, even when everything was falling apart. He focused on the road, kept talking to keep her conscious. "What's your name, ma'am?" A pause. Then, "Eleanor." "I'm Brandon. Eleanor, stay with me, okay? Talk to me. Tell me anything." Silence for a long moment. Then, quietly, "I built something. A long time ago. From nothing." Her eyes drifted toward the snow outside. "Sometimes I wonder if it was worth what it cost." Brandon didn't push. He just said, "Anything worth building costs something." He meant it in a way she didn't understand yet. Right now, what he was building was her chance to survive. And what it was costing him was a 10-year-old girl's birthday. They passed a massive construction billboard. A single floodlight lit it up through the storm. Big letters, Whitfield Enterprises, building communities since 1981. Brandon's eyes stayed on the road. He didn't look. Eleanor did. Her expression changed, just for a second. Something private, something heavy. Then it was gone. Mercy General, 1:08 a.m. Brandon pulled up to the emergency entrance and carried Eleanor inside. A nurse rushed over with a wheelchair. "Her name's Eleanor. She was outside for at least an hour, maybe more." She has a heart condition. Took nitroglycerin about 20 minutes ago. They wheeled her away. A nurse behind the desk called out, "Sir, are you family?" "No, ma'am. I just found her. We need a $30 copay for uninsured walk-ins." Brandon stood there. $30. He had $16.42 on his card and $20 cash from Darnell. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the 20, put his card on the counter. Split it. 20 cash, 10 on the card. $6.42 left. $6.42 on his daughter's birthday. No cake, no bear, no candles, no surprise. The promise broken. He sat in the waiting room. Wet security jacket, no hoodie. Hands raw and red. Shaking, not from cold anymore. From everything. He pulled out his phone, opened the photo gallery. Chloe's face filled the screen, grinning, holding up her countdown calendar. 9 squares crossed off, 1 left. It was past midnight. It was officially her birthday, and he had nothing to give her. He waited an hour. A nurse came out. "She's stable. Hypothermia is responding to treatment. She's going to be okay." Brandon nodded, stood up. His legs felt hollow. He saved a life tonight, and it cost him everything he had. He walked out of that hospital with $6.42 and a broken promise. He had no idea that someone inside was already making a phone call that would change everything. But before he left, a nurse stopped him. "Sir, she's awake. She's asking for you." Brandon almost said no. He was tired, soaked, empty in every way a person can be empty. But he turned around and walked back in. Eleanor was propped up in the hospital bed. IV in her arm, color returning to her face. She looked small under the white sheets, but her eyes were sharp, awake, scanning him the way someone scans a room before making a decision. "Brandon, sit down." He sat. "Tell me about yourself." "Not much to tell, ma'am. I'm a security guard. Do some handyman work on the side." "Family?" "A daughter, Chloe. She's 9. Well, 10 now. Today, actually." He said it before he could stop himself, then looked away. Eleanor caught it, the shift in his face, the way his voice cracked on today. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. She's fine. Everything's fine." He wasn't going to tell her. He wasn't going to make a dying woman feel guilty about a birthday cake. That wasn't who he was. Eleanor reached for her purse on the side table. A nurse had brought it in with her belongings. She pulled out a checkbook. "Let me pay you for what you did tonight." "No, ma'am." "Brandon, I didn't do it for money. I did it because you were out there and nobody else stopped." She held the checkbook in the air for a moment, then lowered it. "Most people would take the check." "I'm not most people." She looked at him, a long, careful look. 50 years of reading people, reading boardrooms, reading deals, reading lies. She knew he was hiding something, a cost, a weight. He wouldn't say what it was, and that, to her, said more than any words. She put the checkbook away. Then she pulled out a business card from her wallet. Plain, simple, a name and a phone number. No logo, no title. "If you ever need anything at all, call this number." Brandon took it, glanced at it, slipped it into his wet jacket pocket without reading it. "Get some rest, ma'am. I'm glad you're okay." He stood up, walked to the door, stopped. "Eleanor?" "Yes?" "Stay warm." She almost smiled. He left. The storm had passed. The roads were buried but quiet. Pre-dawn gray, that thin, cold light before the sun decides to show up. Brandon's gaslight was blinking again. He coasted on fumes, nursing every last drop. He passed the gas station on 5th, pulled in, walked inside. The bakery case, right there, behind the glass. Pink box, white frosting, $14. He stood in front of it for a full minute, just looking. His hand went to his pocket. $6.42. He turned away. He found a chocolate muffin in the snack aisle. $2. A pack of birthday candles near the register. $3. $1.42 left. He drove home. 4:30 a.m. The apartment was dark. Chloe was asleep on the pull-out couch, one arm hanging off the edge, mouth slightly open. The countdown calendar on the fridge, every square crossed off. Today was the day. Brandon put the muffin on a plate, pressed one candle into the center, wrote on a napkin with a pen that was almost out of ink, "Happy double digits, baby girl. I love you more than everything. Dad." He set it on the kitchen table, hung his wet jacket on the chair. The business card fell out of the pocket and landed on the floor. He picked it up, put it on the counter, and forgot about it. He sat on the floor next to the pull-out couch, watched Chloe breathe. His hands were raw, his arms still red from the wind. His body was done, but his mind wouldn't stop. He saved a life tonight. He knew that. He'd do it again. He'd do it 100 times. But right now, at 4:30 in the morning, on the floor next to his sleeping daughter, all he could see was a pink cake behind gas station glass. $14 he didn't have. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a father who broke his promise. He set his alarm for 6:30 a.m., closed his eyes. He didn't sleep. While Brandon was lying on that floor, staring at the ceiling, 3 things were happening across the city that he knew nothing about. The first, Mercy General. 5:15 a.m. Eleanor was on the phone, her voice low but steady. "Graham, I'm fine. I'm at Mercy General. Listen, I need you to find someone. Brandon Nash, security guard at Ridgewood Plaza. Today, not tomorrow. Bring the car, the black one." She hung up, called the nurse. "The man who brought me in, did he pay the copay?" "Yes, ma'am. $30. Looked like it cleaned him out." Silence. "He also asked if we had a chapel," the nurse added. "Said he wanted to say a prayer for his little girl. Something about her birthday." Eleanor's hands tightened on the blanket. "Her birthday," she whispered. "He spent his daughter's birthday money on me." A long pause. "Find out everything about him." The second, Graham Hollister, Eleanor's driver and head of security for 18 years, made 3 calls before sunrise. The last one went to a church on the south side. A woman named Pastor Ruth Simmons answered. She told him everything. The handyman jobs, the night shifts, the church furnace Brandon fixed for free for 3 years. A drawing of a building called the Nash Learning Center. A man who gave away what he didn't have and never complained. Graham called Eleanor back. Ma'am, you're going to want to hear this. The 3rd, 6:30 a.m. Brandon's alarm. He opened his eyes. He hadn't slept. Not a minute. Chloe was already up, standing at the kitchen table, looking at the muffin. Brandon's heart stopped. She picked up the napkin, read it. Then she carried the plate, muffin, candle and all, over to where he was lying on the floor. She sat next to him. Dad, wake up. You can't turn double digits alone. He sat up. She struck a match. She'd been the candle lighter at church for 2 years. Lit the candle, closed her eyes, made a wish. Blew. Then she broke the muffin in half, held out the bigger piece. Birthday rule. You share with the person you love most. Brandon took it. It tasted like everything he couldn't say. She leaned against his shoulder, chewing. Quiet. Completely happy with a $2 muffin and 1 candle. Best birthday ever, she said. Brandon put his arm around her, held on tight. On the counter, the business card sat untouched. Then the doorbell rang. Chloe looked up. Who's that? Brandon had no idea. Nobody visited on a Tuesday morning. The man at his door wasn't selling anything, and the car at the curb didn't belong in this neighborhood. Brandon opened the door. A tall, broad-shouldered white man in a dark overcoat. Military posture. Hands clasped. Face that looked like it hadn't smiled since the 90s. Behind him, a black Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Tinted windows. Engine running. Sitting in last night's snow like it had landed from another planet. Mr. Nash? Yeah? My name is Graham Hollister. I work for Eleanor Whitfield. Mrs. Whitfield would like to speak with you. She's asked me to bring you to her. Brandon stared at him, then at the car, then back. Eleanor? The woman from last night? Yes, sir. She's okay? Being discharged this morning. She'd like to see you at her home. Brandon shook his head. It's my daughter's birthday. I can't just... Mrs. Whitfield is aware. Graham's voice softened, barely. She asked that your daughter come as well. There will be something for her. Behind Brandon, Chloe appeared in the doorway, muffin crumbs on her shirt, eyes locked on the Rolls-Royce. Dad, she tugged his sleeve. That car is really fancy. Brandon looked at Graham, looked at Chloe. Something in Graham's expression, not pity, something closer to respect, made him decide. Give us 5 minutes. He put on Chloe's shoes, found her a clean jacket. They walked to the car. Graham opened the back door. Chloe slid in and touched the leather seat with one finger. Reverent. Brandon sat next to her, afraid to breathe too hard. As Graham walked around to the driver's side, Brandon noticed something on his lapel. A small gold pin. A letter, shaped like a W. The same shape as the embroidery on Eleanor's handkerchief. The same shape as the logo on the billboard his truck had passed last night. Something clicked. Not all the way, but enough to make his chest tighten. They left the south side, passed through downtown, then past downtown, into a part of the city Brandon had only ever driven past. The houses got bigger. The lawns got wider. The fences got taller. They turned onto a private road, a stone and glass residence, 4 acres overlooking the river. Not flashy, quietly, impossibly big. Old money. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. A sign at the gate. Whitfield. Brandon's hand went to his pocket. The business card. Eleanor Whitfield. "Dad, who are we visiting?" Chloe whispered. He didn't answer. Whitfield. Like the billboard. Like the buildings downtown. Like the... No. No way. Graham led them inside. Warm. Quiet. Every wall, framed photographs, Eleanor shaking hands with governors, breaking ground on buildings, receiving awards, a magazine cover. One photo stopped Brandon cold. Eleanor, younger, mid-50s, standing before a skyline. Text beneath, Whitfield Enterprises, $4.2 billion in urban development. His feet stopped. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Dad, come on." Chloe pulled his hand. Graham led them through a hallway, past a library, through glass double doors, into a sunroom. Brandon stepped through. And everything stopped. A 3-tier birthday cake. White frosting, pink flowers, "Happy 10th birthday, Chloe," in elegant script. Balloons in every color. Wrapped presents with ribbons. A handmade banner. And Eleanor, cashmere sweater, warm smile, standing in the middle of it all. Chloe froze in the doorway. Her mouth opened. No sound. Brandon froze behind her. He saw the cake. White frosting, pink flowers. The exact same style as the one he'd stared at through the gas station glass at 4:30 this morning. His vision blurred. Eleanor walked toward them, slowly, joints still stiff from last night. She lowered herself to Chloe's eye level. "You must be Chloe. I'm Eleanor. Your father saved my life last night, and I hear it's your birthday." Chloe looked up at Brandon. He couldn't speak. She looked back at Eleanor. "My dad helps everybody," she said. Simple, quiet, like the sky is blue. Eleanor's eyes filled. She blinked once, hard, stood up, turned to Brandon. You're that Whitfield?" His voice cracked. "Whitfield Enterprises?" Eleanor nodded. "My car broke down near Ridgewood last night. I was inspecting a development site. My driver was circling back when the storm hit. Phone died. I walked to the nearest bus stop, and 30 people walked past me." She paused. "I counted, Brandon. 30. Some looked right at me. An old woman in a cheap coat on a bench. Not one stopped, except you, on your daughter's birthday, with your last $38. Brandon's chest caved. She knew. She knew everything. "A nurse told me you asked about a chapel. Graham called your pastor. Ruth told me everything." Eleanor stepped closer, voice quiet, steady. The voice of a woman who had built an empire, but still recognized something she couldn't build. "I've spent 50 years building things, Brandon. Buildings, companies, communities. Last night I learned something I should have known a long time ago." She looked him in the eye. "You can build everything in the world, but the only thing that matters is whether someone stops." But the cake and the presents, that was just the beginning. What Eleanor said next didn't just change Brandon's bank account. It changed the trajectory of an entire zip code. While Brandon and Eleanor talked, Graham quietly led Chloe to the other side of the sunroom. The presents. The cake. a paper crown that Eleanor's housekeeper had folded by hand that morning. Through the glass doors, Brandon could see his daughter, sitting at a table too big for her, paper crown slightly crooked on her head, opening presents with careful, reverent hands, like each one might disappear if she moved too fast. Every few seconds, she looked back at Brandon through the glass, gave him a thumbs up. He gave one back. For a moment, he just watched her. She was happy. On her birthday. That's all he'd wanted. Whatever happened next, she was happy right now. Eleanor sat across from him, tea in her hands, eyes sharp. She wasn't making small talk. She was interviewing him, and he didn't even know it. You do handyman work? Plumbing, electrical, drywall? Yes, ma'am. Where did you learn? YouTube, library books, trial and error mostly. And you're a security guard at Ridgewood Plaza? Night shift. And your daughter drew a picture of a building called the Nash Learning Center. Brandon's stomach dropped. How do you know about that? Ruth Simmons speaks very highly of you, Brandon. She told Graham about the drawing. She also told him you've been fixing the church furnace for free for 3 years. Brandon said nothing. He didn't know what to say. His whole life, the parts he thought nobody saw, was being laid out on a billionaire's coffee table. Eleanor set down her tea. Brandon, I didn't bring you here to write you a check. I brought you here because I think you're the person I've been looking for. Ma'am, I don't understand. You will. She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the river. Whitfield Enterprises has been planning an urban development initiative on the south side for 2 years. Affordable housing, community infrastructure, workforce development. The buildings are easy. I can build buildings in my sleep. She turned to face him. What I can't find is the right community partner. Someone local, someone trusted, someone who knows what that neighborhood actually needs, not what a boardroom thinks it needs. Brandon was very still. I want to fund the Nash Learning Center. The room went silent. Even the air stopped moving. Not as charity, Eleanor continued. As a Whitfield Enterprises community development project. You would run it. Full salary, full benefits, full operational budget. We build the facility, you design the program. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC, carpentry. Everything you taught yourself, you'd teach others. Brandon opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing. Eleanor kept going. She wasn't guessing. She had numbers. $2.5 million for the facility build-out, $800,000 annual operating budget, 5-year commitment with renewal options. Brandon's hands were trembling on his knees. Through the glass door, Chloe was blowing out candles on the 3-tier cake. 10 candles, all lit, all for her. There's one condition, Eleanor said. The center has to be at Ridgewood Plaza. Brandon looked up. Ridgewood? The strip mall? We own the property. Have for years. 3 shuttered storefronts, declining traffic, no clear plan. I've had a team trying to figure out what to do with it. She paused. Now I know. Brandon stared at her. The strip mall where he walked perimeter rounds in the dark. The parking lot where he found her on the bench. The bus stop where she almost died. That was going to become a learning center. His learning center. You're building a $2.5 million training center because I drove you to a hospital? Eleanor shook her head, slowly. I'm building it because in 50 years, I've never met anyone who would spend their daughter's birthday money on a stranger and not even mention it. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. That's not kindness, Brandon. That's character. And character is the only thing I've never been able to buy. Brandon couldn't breathe. He stood up. Can I have a minute? Take your time. He stepped out onto the terrace, looked at the river. The snow from last night was still covering everything, white and quiet and clean. His vision was blurring again. The glass door opened behind him. Chloe ran out, frosting on her chin, eyes electric. Dad, this is the best birthday ever! Can we come back here? Brandon laughed. The first real laugh in longer than he could remember. He picked her up. She was almost too big for that now. Double digits. He pulled out his phone, called Darnell. Bro, you're not going to believe this. He could barely get the words out. Darnell was silent for 10 seconds. Then, Brandon, are you serious right now? Dead serious. You carried a billionaire through a snowstorm. I carried a person, D. I just carried a person. He went back inside, looked at Eleanor. I have one question. The people who graduate from this program, will they get real certifications? Real job placement? Not just a piece of paper? Eleanor smiled. The first full smile he'd seen from her. Licensed certifications, union partnerships, guaranteed interview pipelines with every Whitfield contractor in the state. Brandon nodded. Slow, steady. Then yes, I'm in. They shook hands. Eleanor's grip was strong, the same grip that had grabbed the dashboard in his truck last night. Your mother raised you right, Brandon. He didn't ask how she knew about his mother. He was sure Pastor Ruth had told Graham everything. Behind them, through the glass, Chloe was drawing on the back of wrapping paper with a marker she'd found. She held it up to the window so Brandon could see. A building, stick figures inside. A sign above the door, Nash Learning Center. For real this time. Within 6 months, the neighborhood Brandon Nash grew up in looked nothing like it used to. It started with demolition. The 3 shuttered storefronts at Ridgewood Plaza came down first. Plywood walls, rusted gates, faded for lease signs nobody had called about in years. All gone in a week. Then the building went up, steel framing where empty windows used to be. New electrical through walls that hadn't seen power in a decade. Plumbing, insulation, drywall, fresh concrete over cracked asphalt. New signage over the entrance, big, clean, impossible to miss. Nash Learning Center, a Whitfield community initiative. Darnell's barbershop stayed. Right in the middle of it all. Same chair, same clippers. Except now, instead of empty storefronts, he looked out at a welding lab, an electrical training suite, a carpentry workshop, and a community resource office. Man, he said, standing in his doorway on day 1. I've been cutting hair next to ghosts for 3 years. Now I got neighbors. Brandon was on site every day. Hard hat, clipboard, work boots. But he wasn't managing from a desk. He was running conduit alongside electricians, checking pipe fittings with plumbers, shaking hands with every contractor who walked through the door. In the lobby, 2 framed drawings side by side. The first, Chloe's original sketch from the church parking lot. Stick figures welding and hammering. Nash Learning Center, in purple handwriting. Below it, designed by Chloe Nash, age 10. The second, the wrapping paper sketch from Eleanor's sunroom. Same building. But underneath, in block letters, for real this time. 2 drawings, before and after. Same dream. Opening day, Tuesday morning, sunny, cold. The kind of cold that wakes you up but doesn't hurt. Pastor Ruth gave the blessing. Eleanor cut the ribbon. Brandon stood between them. Chloe held the giant scissors with both of them, taller than she was. Local news showed up. 2 cameras. A reporter who kept calling it a feel-good story until she talked to the students. Then she stopped smiling and started listening. First cohort, 35 students, ages 18 to 55, single mothers needing a trade that paid more than minimum wage, formerly incarcerated men who couldn't get hired anywhere, laid-off factory workers starting over, high school graduates with no college plan and no money for one. Week 2. Vivian Caldwell showed up. Eleanor's COO. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She'd fought this project in 3 board meetings, called it sentimental philanthropy. She walked through the center without a word, watched a 52-year-old grandmother learn to solder a copper pipe fitting, hands steady, getting it right on the 3rd try. Watched a 19-year-old dropout pass his first electrical safety exam. Score, 94. That evening, she called Eleanor. You were right about him. Local newspaper headline. From security guard to community builder. How one man's kindness sparked a $3 million investment. 6 months in, the numbers told the story. 28 of 35 students earned at least 1 trade certification. 12 placed in full-time jobs with Whitfield contractors. Average starting salary, $52,000. More than Brandon made at both his old jobs combined. The church furnace, the one Brandon had patched for 3 years, was replaced. Brand new. Paid for by the center's first graduating class. A thank you to Pastor Ruth. Darnell's barber shop tripled its business. Students between classes needed haircuts, conversation, a place to sit. He put a sign in his window. Haircuts for Nash Center grads. First one free. His $20 came up in a news interview. Darnell laughed on camera. Best $20 I ever spent. I thought I was buying a birthday cake. Turns out I was investing in a neighborhood. Brandon hired 2 assistant instructors, both graduates of the first cohort. Eleanor visited once a month. She and Brandon walked the hallways. She asked sharp questions. He gave honest answers. They argued about paint colors, agreed about everything else. On the wall of the main hallway, 2 objects in glass cases side by side. The first, a cream handkerchief with a gold W monogram. Below it, a brass plate. It only takes 1 person. The second, a single birthday candle. No plaque, no explanation. Brandon and Chloe knew what it meant. Nobody else needed to. But the real ending to this story didn't happen at a ribbon cutting or in a newspaper. It happened on a Tuesday night, in the cold, on a bench, exactly 1 year later. Winter again, the night before Chloe's 11th birthday. This year, the birthday was already planned. A real party, school friends, a cake from an actual bakery, 3 layers, purple frosting, sparkler candles. Ordered 2 weeks ago, paid in full. Brandon had a savings account now. He was leaving the Nash Learning Center after a late class. 16 students tonight. Electrical wiring fundamentals. 3 had job interviews this week. He walked to his truck. New. Well, new to him. Modest. Reliable. Heat on both sides. Both windows sealed. He passed the bus stop. The same bench. The students had bolted a plaque to the armrest last month. The bench where it started. Someone was sitting on it. A young man, early 20s, thin jacket, staring at a dead phone. Brandon stopped. He recognized the look. Not the face, the look. Someone sitting too long because they have nowhere else to go. "Hey, you all right?" The young man looked up, guarded. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. "Bus stopped running." "Yeah, it does that. You need a ride?" "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't. Come on." He drove the young man to a shelter on the west side. They talked on the way. His name was Travis, just out of a difficult situation. No job, no family nearby, no plan. Brandon reached into the glove compartment, pulled out a card, not Eleanor's, his own. Nash Learning Center, Brandon Nash, Director. Monday morning, 9 o'clock. We'll figure something out. Travis looked at the card, looked at Brandon. "Why are you doing this?" Brandon thought about a freezing night, a wool blanket, a woman on a bench, a $2 muffin with one candle, his mother's voice, 30 people who kept walking. Because someone did it for me, and someone did it for her, and now I get to do it for you. Travis nodded, got out, walked inside. Brandon watched the door close. Then he drove home, to Chloe, to the purple cake in the fridge, to the birthday already paid for, to the life that started with $38 and a choice. The snow kept falling, quiet, steady, covering everything that came before and leaving the world clean. So that's Brandon's story. A man with $38, a stranger on a bench, a birthday that almost didn't happen, and a choice that changed everything, not just for him, but for an entire neighborhood. I keep thinking about that night, about the 30 people who walked past Eleanor. 30. Some of them probably had hundreds of dollars in their wallets. Some probably had warm cars parked nearby. Some probably looked right at her and kept going. And then there's Brandon, a man who couldn't afford his daughter's birthday cake. A man who had every reason in the world to keep walking. More reason than any of those 30 people. But he stopped. He didn't stop because he had more. He stopped because he was more. If this story hit you, if something inside you felt that, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Drop a comment and tell me honestly, would you have stopped at that bench? Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell. Because stories like this, they deserve to be told. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Here's what I learned from this story, and I hope you really hear me on this. We always tell ourselves we'll have when we can afford to, when we have enough, when the timing is right. But the truth is, the timing is never right. There are always a reason not to. And the people who actually make a difference, they don't wait for the perfect moment. They just move. A lot of us believe generosity is something rich people do. Write a big check, put your name on a building. Done. But real generosity That when you give something you can't afford to lose. That when it actually means something. And we spend so much time chasing more money, more security, more comfort. We think that what makes us valuable, but nobody remembers you for what in your wallet. They remember you for what you did when it matters. That is your real worth, and no one can take that from you. Here's the other thing, you never know what one thing decision can lead to. One moment of doing the right thing can open doors you didn't even know existed. Not because you were looking for a reward, but because that is just how life works sometimes. So ask yourself this, are you waiting to have enough before you start giving? Because you might be waiting forever. Drop that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. You don't have to have a lot to give a lot. Remember that.